in the week to come, we will do most of our evangelism as a church in this next week. We, from the very beginning, we have really put a lot of emphasis on the week of Rose Rock. If you're from Noble, you know what a Rose Rock is. If you're not, then you're not missing much. But we do have a festival that, is centered around it. And that's when all the people from Noble and surrounding areas, people driving through, they come in and they just stop for a few moments in Noble. They ride those extremely expensive rides, and they go through all the different booths that might be set up. And if you're lucky enough, your mom or your dad, kiddos, will buy you one of those funnel cakes so you can get powdered sugar all over your clothes. But during that time, from the very beginning, Discover Church has tried to take part in that from the very beginning of our existence, because we just wanted people to know that we were here. And so I remember the very first Rose Rock that we were in existence, we set up a little tent, 10 by 10, and we thought we'll just pass out balloons and say hello to people. And it was amazing to me that when we did that, people responded so well. That next Sunday, we had several visitors that came in. We had several people just from that one weekend of just saying hi and letting them know that Discover Church was sitting on top of a hill on Highway 77, that they decided to come in, and a lot of them just made it their home. A lot of you sit here today off of our booth that just sits there at Rose Rock. So the next year we decided we want that thing to grow, so we didn't rent just one little space on the backside of City Hall. We rented 3 spaces right next to the stage, and we wanted people to know that Discover Church is here to stay. And we have a presence in this community. And so we passed out balloons again, and we let little kids come in and we'd paint their faces, and Discover Dog would walk around Rose Rock, and people would recognize once again who Discover Church was. And it's really not Discover Church, but it's the people of Discover Church, and it's really not just the people of Discover Church, it's the God that they serve that we're interested in people connecting to and finding out about. And so this next week, we'll take off Friday afternoon. We'll be back right next to the stage, and I invite you to come evangelize. You say, well, what do I do? How do I do anything? You just come and you sit with us, and as people walk by, you talk to those people. You wave at them. You spend a little bit of time with their kids that maybe you know or maybe you don't know. And you just, for just a moment, if they can just see the Spirit that lives in you, they'll definitely want to come. And so what we've done is we've decided that this year we would ask people to do the DC Challenge. And all that is that we want you to invite people to try Discover Church just one time. Just once. I love stories when people come to church and they said, we were shopping around. We decided we were going to look and just try to find some place to go. And I love those stories when they said, we came in the doors and people were so friendly and people accepted us just the way that we were, that we just didn't go any other place. We just decided that we just make Discover Church our home. So we're convinced. We're convinced today that you love God so much and you permeate God so much in this community and in your life that if they just come one time, they try it out one time, they're going to stick. And if they don't, that's okay. I guess we're not for everybody. I guess that stylistically, sometimes the music's too loud, or stylistically, sometimes we sing it too fast, or maybe it's too slow, or I don't know, maybe the carpet's the wrong color. I'm not sure why people don't like us at times. But if they don't, then we're going to help them find a church that they do like. And I'm serious about that. I've had people come up and ask me, they said, "You're really going to help somebody find another church?" Yeah, we've done that before. I remember on a Wednesday night, somebody came in, and it was two guys, and they were carrying Bibles when they came in the door, and it just, you just knew right from the beginning, they probably weren't a match. They probably just weren't going to like what we had going on. I could just tell. I don't know why. And I said, "Hey, we've got some Discover groups going on. You could pick out a group. You could sit in that." He goes, "We're really looking for a service, like worship service, and we're looking for somebody to preach." And I said, "Well, that's not happening here tonight, but I know another church that you might really, really like." And I stepped out the door and I pointed that direction, and they did. That's where they went. And I don't know if they're still there today or not, but I hope that just by our recommendation, there's a lot of great churches in Noble. There's a lot of great people that love God that are in Noble that don't go to Discover Church. And if they, for whatever reason, just don't feel like they fit in here, then we want them to find a place that they connect and that they fit in so that they can serve God. And if we can be a part of that, that's enough, And so there's also a website that they can go to, noblechurches.com, or they can scan the QR code and they can go to that website and they can look at all the different churches that we would recommend. Churches that we know the pastors, churches that we know the people, that we know that they're preaching a solid message to individuals every Sunday morning or Wednesday night. And we just recommend those churches. If you don't like this one, if this one's not for you, then find one that you do like. And then go there and plug in and worship. If you look in the Bible, in the book of John, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he tells them something I think is very, very important for our church, especially as we go out this week and we evangelize. He tells them in chapter 13, in verse 34, and it won't be on your screen this morning, but it says, "A new commandment I give you, love one another." A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So basically, it's ending the time that Jesus is going to be with those followers that he has, those men that he chose, He said, "I want you and you and you and you. I want you to come and I want you to walk with me. I want you to watch me. I want you to be close to me. And I'm going to teach you everything that I know, everything that you need to know." And he knew that when he did that there would be an extension later where they could do that for others, But when he got them all together, he tells them in John chapter 13, he says, everybody's going to know you, not for how great you are, or not for everything that you've done, or everything you've accomplished, or how good looking you are, or how that you can manage something, but they're going to look at you on one criteria: how much love you have for each other. When somebody comes into Discover Church and they're trying to decide, is this for me? I mean, is this really where I want to be? Is this where I want to minister? Is this what I want to do for a while? Is this where God's calling me even? I think they look at that one criteria and say, will these people love me? Will these people take care of me? Will they, when I'm hurting, will they come and will they swoop me up and hold me till I'm better? Or when I'm laughing and I have some exciting news to tell you, Will they listen to me and want to know what's going on in my life? And then they'll be excited for me as well? And so when you try to figure all of that out when you're coming into a new church, you look at the people that are already here, the existing people. And you can tell real quick whether or not they have love one for another. Because if they've got love one for another, then those people that are coming from the outside, coming in, they can say, wow, those people are followers of God. And when they say, oh my goodness, those people know who God is, then they can also recognize it for themselves in their own life, when maybe in the past they haven't been able to. Not all churches really show that, do they? I've been in some that haven't. Some that wouldn't be patient with you. You know, that wouldn't just let you grow at your own pace and just kind of settle in and just be, you know. Some are just real pushy. I've been to some that haven't been very kind to me. You know, they just, for whatever reason, they just weren't nice. I mean, they didn't have a desire when I walked in. I remember this one church I walked in, and I walked in and I sat down right in the middle. And I was there for like 30 minutes and nobody said a word to me. And I thought, and felt all alone. Felt like nobody really even cared. If they didn't even come over and talk to me or want to know my name or who I was or why I was even here. Because I could have been hurting that day. I might have had some really amazing needs in my life. And I might have just been here and sitting in the middle of these people, and this might have been my last hope. And I'm telling you, those people were not kind to me. Because they didn't care about my problems or my situation or what I was going through. And I never went back to that place. Never. Never one time. And really don't have plans of ever going back. Because they just weren't kind. Sometimes churches will boast how great they are, and they'll tell you that, you know, this is what they are, and they'll supply you all this stuff, and it's the best in the world. And sometimes, I don't know, that kind of just, you know, gets old. I've been to churches before where they were just downright rude. I mean, just rude. Have you ever been to one of those churches where like, you know, these people sat in those two seats, and those two seats are the only seats that those people sat in, and for whatever reason you came in a little bit early before those people got to the seats that are the only seats that those people sat in, and you sat in those seats? And then they were rude. You walk in and they say, "You're in my seat. The only seat I sit in is right there, and you're sitting in my seat." And maybe they don't come across like that, but they let you know. You know, like they come over and they're just like, you know, you know, they just kind of give you, I didn't spill your coffee. All right, yeah, you got the point. Just sometimes they're just rude. But I'm just telling you today that if we're going to be a church that evangelizes this city, if we're going to be a church that evangelizes the people that are around us and the communities that we each live in, the Bible says that love is patient, that we're patient with people. I don't expect you today to look like me or to act like me or to be like me or to even want to do that. I expect you today to want to look like Jesus and act like Jesus and be like Jesus. And we've got to tell people around us that we're going to be patient enough with them that we're going to wait until they have a desire to be that. I've said this like the last 2 weeks so many times in my head and then to people, But we expect way too much out of people that do not know Christ. We expect them to dress up and to look the part and to say the right things and to clean themselves up really quickly and take all the bad habits you got and throw them away real quick, because if you're going to come to this church, then you gotta act a certain way. You got to be a certain way, right? No. We're going to be patient with people. And we're going to look at the needs that they've got in their life. And even though we might not agree with the lifestyle or the way things are going in their life, we just continually, consistently in their life feed them this Word and encourage them to do better. Encourage them to come to events that we do, to encourage them to be around people that are really positive for them in their life. And we're just patient. We're kind enough to dig in just deep enough not to be nosy, but just enough to know if we could find out just some hurts or some disappointments, or maybe why haven't you gone to church in a long time? Or why have you changed churches? Or why is it that you're not real happy with God in your life? And we show that kindness of God to people. Because love is patient and love is kind. And it's not that we're the only thing on the market. You know, it's not like Discover Church is the only church that people can grow and be loved in. But for us right now, at this time, at this moment, this is what we need. We need God just to be with us, and this is the place we feel comfortable. And so we want people to know that they can feel comfortable in this place too. Love is patient, love is kind, it doesn't envy, and it sure doesn't just boast. I can't boast on myself, and I can't just boast that we're better than anything else. When you compare all of that to Christ, it seems like that we're so little and so insignificant, you know? So we just brag on Him, and we tell Him He's here. I don't know why He chooses to visit us. I don't know why He chooses Discover Church. I don't know why He chooses the staff here that He does. But in spite of all of us, He shows up and He meets our needs week after week after week. Whether it's physical or mental or financial. If we open up our hearts, God is faithful every week to be able just to meet the needs that we have. Don't ever walk in these doors and be rude to somebody, because being rude is not showing love. If they got your seat, then you sit down next to them and you tell them, I'm so glad you got my seat today, that you came down and you sat down right there in my seat. Normally I sit there every week, but this week is your seat. And I'll tell you what, if you come back next week, you can sit in my seat again. People around us know us by how we have love for others. If you're compassionate and you can show that and people can see it in your eyes and they know it by your walk and you're consistent in it, then people will be drawn to you. And if they're not, then probably as we look down the list of what truly love is, maybe we have some of those things in our life that keep us from really showing people who we really want to be. That we're always self-seeking, or we don't have self-discipline in our lives, and because of that we act one way in one place, and then we act a different way in another place. So when people look at us and we're like that, where we act one way here and then we act another way someplace else, it confuses them. It just confuses people. Because they say, I see that love that you have when you're doing this, but then when you act this way, it confuses me. And because I'm so confused about maybe who you really are, then a lot of people just say, I don't really want to have anything to do with that, I guess. I guess I'll just back off a little bit. Maybe I'll wait it out just a little bit further. But when people come in and they see you act one way when you're serving God, when you're in church, or when you're doing some type of function where you're with church people, but then when you're not, when you're outside of that, maybe like you're at work or you're at school, wherever, and you act the same way you did when they saw you at church, you know what they say about you? They say the same thing that Jesus told his disciples that they would say. Wow, they must be disciples of Christ. They're the same all the time. They just, for whatever reason, don't seem to change much. They're consistent and level, and their lives don't seem to, like, even though a lot of bad things happen to them, their lives just seem okay. They're just consistent. No roller coaster rides in their life. Wow. They love God here and they love God there too. When people see that we have love for one another all the time, that we're consistent in what we do, that we are truly followers of Christ and not just those people that say that we are, you know what happens? You might have to give up your seat. You might not have a seat to sit in. You might have to stand against the wall. You might have to listen from the lobby. We might have to put windows in the side of the building so that we can open them up and you can stand in the park and listen to the Word. You say, oh, he's exaggerating it now, isn't he? He's going a little too far. I don't know. I think a little bit of love goes a long ways. I know that's what I look for. You know, when I was looking for a wife, I was looking for somebody that would love me. I mean, bad breath in the morning, shaggy hair, you know, the dude without the shirt on, you know, that, you know, guy that you are. Yeah, you don't. Never mind. I'm fixing to chase a rabbit about something that doesn't even matter. My point is, everybody wants to be loved. So I found somebody. I searched them out and I found them. And there she was. And because she loved me, it made me love her even more, you know? And that's how people are today. Man, just try it. You ever seen somebody standing off by themselves and like not really associating with anybody? And the moment you walk over and you show them kindness, you stick out your hand and you say, my name's, they immediately just, well, you know, my name's this, and how have you been? Well, I've been great. You know, well, good. And then this conversation starts. And then there's this connection. But before you showed love, before you showed kindness, there was no connection. So the minute that we put action behind our love, things start to move and start to change. Well, let's just read it from the screen. Let's go to Matthew chapter 28. Starting with verse 18. It says, "Then Jesus came to them and said, 'All power in heaven and on earth is given to me.'" So here's what he says. He tells these people, he says, "Go and make followers." I'm in a Bible study with a great group of people, and they've been talking about, instead of just being fans, being followers of Christ. There's a difference. Just, difference of just, being a fan of what happens, what God does. He's a pretty good God. He's pretty amazing. But then when you start to follow Him, then you start experiencing it for yourself. So when you go and you start making followers of all the people in the world, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And the next verse, and the last one. "And I will go with you always until the end of the earth." There you go. I'm telling you today, when we put action with our love, people's lives begin to change. How do you know that's true, Chad? We've been here 6 years. Discover Church has been on top of this hill for 6 years now. And because you've loved people, and you've shown them kindness, and you've put them first and you second, Discover Church is the fastest growing church in Noble. No doubt. Because you look after people, and because you don't have to have a pastoral staff put you in a position, you have a position. You're a follower of Christ. And because you act on that position you have been given from God, Discover Church is the largest church in Noble. Because young people love God so much that they go to their schools and they throw flyers all over their schools, and they talk to people and say, "What are you doing tonight?" "Because I'm going to the dig." Our youth group is 3 times larger than any youth group in the city. You say, "Oh, now you're bragging." Now, was that somewhere? Did you? Now, I'm telling you that they love. They love. And they want other people to know how much God loves them, so they share that. Over and over and over and over again. If you've been some other place and they didn't treat you right, if you've come to this place and we've not treated you right, I'm so sorry. If you've been hurt and taken advantage of, and church politics has gotten in the way of you being able just to focus on Him and follow Him with everything you've got, I'm so sorry today that happened, that it got in the way. I'm so sorry today if you were raised in a family and you went to church and they just made you go, and you despised it for so long because they just drug you to that place and you didn't want to go. And now you've got this attitude towards God that you just have a hard time listening to somebody sing songs about Him, and you really have a hard time listening to somebody try to convince you to serve Him. I apologize today. Because we, as followers of Christ, went wrong somewhere. We put ourselves before you, and we weren't patient enough, and we weren't kind enough, and we were not gentle enough with you. We were self-seekers, and we did not see you in the position that you were in. And I'm sorry. But I'm telling you today that I don't like it when people say your church. I like it when they say our church, because that's exactly what it is. It's our church. I hope that our church today is a place that you can find rest, and that you can find comfort, and you can find peace. And as we go throughout this week preparing for this weekend, I want you to come, and I want you to, at 8:30 in the morning, we'll meet in a parking lot on Saturday morning. Everybody will pass out t-shirts that'll say Discover Church on them. You get to keep them. It doesn't cost you a dime. And we'll walk together right down Main Street as a group. There'll be hundreds of us that'll be there. You say, well, I don't know. It's us, man. It's us. I know ball teams are important. I know other floats are important. I'll just apologize and say, I understand if you need to be on those floats. But I sure don't know why you wouldn't want to be on this one. Because it might be one thing to be a bear, or it might be something else to be a cub. But I know exactly what it means to be a part of Discover Church. It means that you are a follower of Christ. And when you walk down the road, as adults, we hand these little cards to those adults that we know and we don't know on the side of the road. We say, I want you to do something for me. I want to challenge you this weekend. I want you to come to the Rose Rock stage. Not here. Next Sunday, just meet me down there at about 10 o'clock. And I want you to try Discover Church out just one time. You don't have to even darken the door of a church. You just come to the stage about 10 o'clock. Eat a donut with me. Drink a little bit of coffee with me. And just be around my church. And just see if you like it. If it's something for you, then I want to meet you the next Sunday down the road. But if not, then go to this place and then find one of those churches you can go to. It's just important. What other time do you have that you can look at 10,000 people and you can have a connection with them for just a moment, and for them to look and to decide what they're going to do with their life? It's amazing. And you have that opportunity as we just walk down. As people look at you and they say, because they've got love one for another, that's something I want to participate in. That weekend that we just spend that time together, people just watch. They just watch from a distance. They watch you inside that booth as you're sitting at tables, eating food, listening to the music, as you interact with each other at that Discover Church booth. They just watch and they just look and they say, I don't have what they've got, but I'm going to try it once and see if I can get it. So I challenge you today. I challenge you today to come and to be a part of what we're doing. Because we're Discover Church. And we're going to make a difference in this city. I want to pray for you today as your pastor. I want to pray that God anoints you just like He did Matthew, the guy in the Bible, the follower of Christ. Just like he did Luke when God called him. Peter. Any of those guys. When God called them and said, just, I want you to come, I want you to follow me. And here's what I want you to be. I want you to be fishers of men. I want you to go out. I want you to find people. I want you to disciple them. I want you to teach them. I want you to show them who I am. And just bring them to me. That's what I want you to do. And if we don't do that, if that's not what we are, we're just a really good social club. We've just built some really good friendships, and those are important. But it's also important to add to that, day after day after day. So go be followers of Christ today. That's your challenge.